fibromyalgia in the New Zealand health system. It's quite involved. So after going through the processes that I've been through, I would get people to, I would advise people to actually look up on the Disability Health Commissioner's website. I'm going to put the link below. And the first thing I would suggest you do is actually look at your rights. Because one of the things that I didn't know about or didn't do was actually see what my rights were as a patient. So when I would go into the doctor and tell them that I was feeling pain, and I couldn't tell you where it was, I was just in this tremendous amount of pain, I was given lots of excuses. A lot of the time I was told it was in my head, and I tended to react defensively in front of them. But then when I would go home and have to rest because I was quite fatigued, I would be really hard on myself. I would put myself down, say that I was being lazy and that I had things to do, and I would set myself goals that were just beyond what I could do. So yeah, the first thing is find out your rights as a patient. Look at what, I can't remember how many rights they are, but I'll put it below. And really read them and really believe them. And when you go to the doctor, be aware of those rights and ask questions. Like one of the things that I was given a lot of was tramadol, Panadol, and all those what you would call short-term pain relievers. Now, the thing that it really did to me was really just make me stoned. And it didn't really address the pain. It's taken me 6 or 7 years to actually find a medication that works. But in the meantime, because there's usually I had a dual diagnosis, and a lot of other people have dual diagnosis. I had post-traumatic stress syndrome or disorder, PTSD, from a sexual assault. So not only did I have the fibro, but I had the PTSD, and a lot of the medical professionals that I interacted with actually blamed the PTSD for what I was feeling. It turns out years later that they were wrong. What had actually happened was I'd had 2 surgical procedures, and in that the surgeons of the time had actually hurt my the nerve endings. I had a gallbladder removal and an ERCP, where they go and look and fart around by my pancreas is where they went. And it set off my pancreas and set off that area of the gallbladder. It wasn't, I think they had to clean it or whatever. And they also overinflated my stomach, and I got a hiatus hernia, which basically means the stomach is pushed up and surrounds the esophagus. So it's a bit squashed, which is why I can only sit for straight for a certain amount of time. But if I hadn't known my rights, I would have approached things a bit differently and been a bit more methodical about it. The next thing I would suggest people do is when they do go to the doctors and stuff, is that read up on the Health Advocacy website, because in New Zealand, not only do we have the Health and Disability Commissioner, you also have a free advocacy service. And they really help you write any complaints that you may have. And it's good to know what they do. And like in all places, there's good advocates and not so good advocates. So that's the next thing that I would look into. The other thing that I found really, really helpful, and it does depend on the area that you're in, is that in our health centre, there's always the nurse. And I usually go and see the nurse and talk to them. Well, that's what I used to do, and I still do it. And because they take your blood pressure and all that, but they can actually be a fountain of knowledge. And the thing with the nurses is that they deal with people on an everyday basis, whereas the doctor usually gets you into the room, you're there for 15 minutes and you're out. That's in New Zealand. And so it can be quite disturbing, that's the only word that I can come up with, to only be seen for 15 minutes. And I know that I felt brushed off. But when I would go to see the nurse, she would actually explain to me, oh, well, Kareem, this is actually what's happening. So those are the three things that I would do differently if I had to. and they're the things that I've learnt. The other one is about how to make a complaint and how to write a complaint if there are issues that you come up with. But my suggestion would be, as much as possible, try and talk to your GP and actually ask, can I have a half-hour talk with you? And one of the things that I do all the time is I also ask the GP if he's giving me some medication or recommendations. I go, can you print out, that they can give you printouts of medications and its effects, its dosages. And I used to say to the doctor, what if I get dizzy? What if I get nausea or I start vomiting? Do I ring you? When do I ring you? When is my symptoms severe? I ask those questions, and I'll put all those questions down below. The other thing that, it's so much, I've given you so much, haven't I? But this is the last person that I actually go and talk to, is I go and talk to the pharmacist. Here in New Zealand, the pharmacist is an underutilised tool, really, or person. I go and see the lead pharmacist and I talk to them about the medications that the doctor might have given me and the explanation that the doctor's given me. And because there are some medications that interact with each other. And then talk about longevity, how long you should be taking it, talk about what you're feeling, and when you think that something might be dangerous. I've had a lot of trial medications, and initially I never used to go back to the doctor or pharmacist to say that I was having funny things happening. I thought it was me, but in actual fact it was the medications. So talk to your pharmacist. So, first, learn about your rights. Health and Disability Commissioner website, which I'll put down below. Health and Advocacy Service, find out about them, read about it online. It will be down below. See your nurse, talk to them about what's going on with you. You usually see the nurse first before you see the doctor. Talk to your GP. Ask those questions that need to be asked. What happens when I get sicker? What are the side effects? Can you print out information on the medication or on my diagnosis or non-diagnosis? What's the prognosis? We'll talk about that later. And lastly, but not least, talk to your pharmacist. Excuse me. Your pharmacist, like I said, is an untapped thing of knowledge. I'm having a fibro fog day. Anyway, that's my first series on advocacy for yourself. If you can, take someone with you when you go to the GP, to the pharmacist and all that sort of stuff. I know that from experience that it's very, very emotional, and I honour that. And it's easy for me to say, you know, don't get emotional, don't do this, but because I've now got some meds that work for me. But you will be emotional. Honour that. And if you can find someone who can walk beside you, then take them with you to all your appointments. If you're finding that the person that you take with you is unhelpful, then you might do what I did, and I went alone. Anyway, I wish you well. I wish for you joy, for joy's companion is love, and I wish for you love. May the heart always guide you, and may you always be well. Bye. Ka kite anō.